Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth and I am a writer. I specifically specialize in writing scripts for audio dramas or stories told with sound. So today I want to be talking with you guys about the 3 different types of writers, some of the challenges that each particular writing type faces, and then I want to go into general challenges that all writers face, no matter what type of writer that they are. So to start us off, the very first type of writer, I like to call them the architect. The architect is a storyteller who likes to plan out their story with meticulous detail. So they relish and they love world building. They love researching. They love learning every little nook and cranny about their story before they even begin writing. The strength of this type of writing is that there is a clear roadmap. Everything is well thought out. So the first rough draft is pretty strong, I would say. The pitfall of this writing type is that sometimes these types of writers will get so boggled down with creating the perfect world, creating or researching intensely if you're doing a novel about the past or a novel in a certain location, getting boggled down so much in the research that nothing really gets written. So for these types of writers, it's really important to set aside time to actually just write, not worrying about if it's completely accurate or how every little thing is going to go. I would even argue outlining each chapter might be a great step because then you're progressing in the story. The next type of writer is called the explorer. So just like it sounds, someone who explores, they are in a new world and they walk around exploring everything. They might not understand everything, they might not know everything, but they keep moving forward. So the explorer is essentially a writer who just starts writing. They don't necessarily have a clear plan in place. They kind of have a vague idea of where it's going to go, but they let the story and the characters lead the way. Now this is my particular writing type, and so I am very familiar with the challenges of this writing type, and so let's talk about a strength first. I think a big strength in this writing type is that they definitely start projects and they get progress along the way. Now, a challenge with this type of writing is, or not this type of writing, this type of writing style or this writing type is inconsistencies with the plot, with characters, with world building. So for this type of writer, it's really important that there is a really a lot of revising and editing of the story and having different readers look at the story to make sure that there's no major plot holes, that the characters are consistent with how they speak, with how they act, and that there's no things that clash in terms of world building depending on the type of story that you're writing. And if it's a story that involves a lot of research, making sure that everything is actually accurate. For myself, I have a really hard time with the revision process because I tend to fall in love with what I've written. So for you explorers out there, just be willing and be open to changing your writing and rewriting things. I know it's a hassle sometimes, but it'll make your writing so much better. The third type of writer is known as the navigator. So the navigator is someone who knows the major ideas and plot points of their story, but they don't plan out every little detail like the architect, nor do they start writing immediately like the explorer. They're like a in between between these two writing types. So they will know the major points of their world. They might know some general background of their research before they start writing. So they'll know some general points before they start writing. And the challenge with these types of writers, for these types of writers, I think is just finding the right balance between planning, between writing, and finding a comfort level for their writing style. And so for them, I think they fall into both of the challenges that architects and explorers have, depending on where they are on that scale and where they're at. So I'd really love to hear in the comments what type of writing type you think that you are. And I want to leave you a little exercise you can do to figure out what writing type you are in case you're not certain. So full disclosure, this is not my original exercise. I got this from ScribeForge. They have different PDFs and Word documents that you can download, so digital products. And I recently downloaded a whole pack for I don't know if it was explicitly for sci-fi, but I got it for world building, character development, and something related to like sci-fi, fantasy, all that kind of jazz. So one of the exercises that they recommend that you do, or to write for 20 minutes about a 75-year-old who finds out that they are the chosen one. So I thought that this was a really cool exercise idea. So I will link in the description the website so you can download it for yourself. But the exercise for me was really eye-opening, because when you have to write a random exercise, the way you react really tells you a lot about the type of writer that you are. So for me, again, hands down, I'm an explorer. When I got that prompt, I just started writing. I wasn't quite sure where it was gonna go. I was like, oh my God, 75-year-old, this is a little bit tricky, but I just did that. And so after the exercise, you reflect on how did you handle that exercise. Did you start outlining? Did you start planning for your story? Did you just go head in? Did you write a couple bullet points and then started writing? That would make you more of a navigator. So just kind of reflecting on your writing style is really important, so that way you know what helps you write best, and you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. So to wrap up this video, I also wanted to talk a little bit about general issues or challenges that all writers face. So I would say that a issue that a lot of writers face is perfectionism. So perfectionism in the sense of feeling like your story has to be perfect, your ideas have to be perfect before you start writing, or before you can move on in the rough draft or the revision process, or even in the publishing process. It's that fear of, what if my story is not good enough? And this is a really hard mountain to climb. I know for myself, I still get really anxious and afraid if someone is reading my work. I'm scared that they're going to think it's garbage, that they're going to think it's boring, or that they're going to have a lot of things to say about it. That's a fear that I still get, but it's really, really important to make little steps of progress towards not being so afraid of that happening, because your story will never exactly be perfect. It'll never be the best story of the world, or necessarily the best of its genre. That's pretty subjective. But your story that you want to tell is a very important one. So definitely take that time to work on your craft, but don't get so boggled down on, is this good enough? Is this perfect? So another challenge that writers generally face is the loss of motivation. So my recommendation for this type of issue kind of depends on where you're at. So sometimes you might need to take a break. You might need to recharge. You might need to take care of yourself, so that way your brain is refreshed, so that way your mental health is at a healthy state, and that you're also enjoying and you're living life, because I think life experiences help us become better writers. So that is one step you can take. The other step that you can potentially take is to set aside time to write every single day. It doesn't have to be related to your story. It doesn't have to be related to your script or your poetry or whatever it is. It might just be that you write in your journal. It might just be that you write on a Google document a letter to yourself, to your past self, to your future self. It might be that you do some random prompts that you find on the internet. You know, just get into the flow of writing. A lot of the times once you start writing, you naturally will keep going. But I feel like this is a pretty good exercise, so that way you keep your writing muscles nice and strong. Okay, the other challenge I think a lot of writers face is writer's block. Now, I'm going to be the first one to say I don't have an overall cure for writer's block. I know for me, writer's block was so strong that I did take a couple years of not writing. But this was also combined with some mental health challenges, so it's kind of hard to say exactly for myself which one was the bigger obstacle, but I would say sometimes for writer's block it's similar to loss of motivation, sometimes taking some space from writing, sometimes doing a little writing practice with prompts and other things. But I would argue that ScribeForge is also pretty good. They talk about writer's block when you're in the middle of a story, and I like the argument that was made that a lot of writer's block tips and ideas are for when you have no idea what to write, period, rather than you have writer's block and you're in the middle of a story. So definitely look for different tips and suggestions. What works for one person might not work for another. It's not really a one-size-fits-all. So those are the 3 challenges I think writers face overall. So with that, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Like I said, comment down below what type of writer do you think you are, and how did that little exercise go for you if you decided to complete it. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe, like, and I really would appreciate a comment. I think just because I really want to get to know you all. So yeah, with that, have a good one.